And we're live in 3, 2. What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Easy Money Cast on the EDCAST podcast, episode 7, with special guests here. We have a man who has done his time. We have a man who has served his country, a man who I look up to, a very smart and highly intellectual man here. A man whose name sounds like he's an owner of a coat shop. With us today, ladies and gentlemen, my dude here, Anthony Coates, man. What's going on, man?
Antonio Jaquetes, yeah. Life, man, life.
You are one of the most interesting people that I know, and that's simply because every time we talk, you come up with this story. I was here in Thailand. I was here in Japan. I was here in... I almost trapped Saddam Hussein. And I'm like, dude, at first I thought you were full of crap.
Yeah.
But the truth, the truth was that you were telling me the truth. And I guess you said it so unfazed that I didn't believe it was true.
You got the pictures to back it up.
Yeah, and I learned that. So that is really cool. We were just talking about, lone survivor Marcus Luttrell. You were talking a little bit about him and how he's working for Congress.
Or he's running for Congress out in East Texas for a congressional district.
That is pretty interesting.
Yeah, I just happened to see the book.
Yeah, Jeanette's a fan. I'm a fan of the movie. The guy's obviously a hero. Yeah. And it's a pretty interesting movie, and it's not for kids. Just saying.
Yeah, I seen on a Chip Foose show called Overhauling where they did a Mustang for him.
Mustang?
It was pretty cool. It's like a 67 Mustang that they built for him.
It's similar to that GT you got outside.
Oh, it was way cooler.
Well, that's pretty cool, man. So how you been?
Been busy. Working hard at hardly working.
You're always, you're up and down. You're just like all gas, no brakes. I feel like right now, you're a rare bird. And obviously it's catch and release, but somehow I managed to, put a little bit of seeds out here, and I managed to reel you in. And now, I got you for a short period of time because I know you're a busy dude. And at some point I'm going to have to release you. But I'm going to have, a little bit of evidence here for the tube, for the fam. Hopefully we can all learn something here from you. I've learned a lot from you, but, maybe, someone that follows you on the socials or someone that follows me could take something back and.
Yeah,
but,
everybody on my Facebook knows me, so, they already know, everything there is to know about me. I'm kind of limited on who I let on,
Right.
But.
So tell me a little bit about, how you started off in the military. You joined the military. I don't know what year this was.
So I joined in 1989. Okay. I was 21 years old. Basically, was living with a friend of mine's parents. I was kind of at a low point.
Right.
And, they were kind enough to let me live with them. And I was like, yeah, I can't do this. I'm 21. I'm an adult. I got to do something. So, yeah, I joined the Army, and best decision I ever made. Of course, back then you had what they called glasnost, which was the breakup of the Soviet Union. It was the end of the Cold War. The Berlin Wall was coming down. It was a time of peace.
Right.
So, for the guys that joined the military after 9/11, I have nothing but admiration for them because they were coming in at a time of war,
Right.
But for me, a year later, we're in formation and our brigade commander is saying, hey, gentlemen, in this many days, 5 of them, you're going to Iraq. Nobody ever heard of that place,
Right.
And I'm like, well, hold up, man. I just came in for the college money, Nobody said anything about this war stuff.
Just wrap up, son.
But so after Desert Storm, that's the hardest thing that you can do in the military is go through combat. And I I was on a tank and I was pretty good at it. And I was like, you know what? I might as well, make a career out of this. And
Right.
I got married when I came back, and kind of had a rule, no kids till after 5 years of marriage. Make sure it's going to be good. And before that, I had went to Korea, came back from Korea. We had our daughter. I was at Fort Hood for a number of years, and got to test like the stuff that they're using today.
Right.
I was testing this back in '92, the M1A2 tank, the digital radio systems that they use, the SINGARs or whatever. And then the Army sent me to recruiting. It was the 3 worst years of my life because it was in Minnesota. It was cold. I'm asking people to join the military. They're like, the Army's for losers. Yeah, and then I get back to the office and my chain of command's like, who are you putting in the Army today? I'm like, I got nobody. You're a loser. And then you get home and the wife is like, how was your day? I don't want to talk about it. Oh, you can talk to everybody all day, but you can't talk to me. You're a loser.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but
no.
I will say that, I used to go to school here. And I do remember a bunch of recruits coming in, and honestly, I was just annoyed. I mean, and maybe that's what it was like for you.
It was the same thing. We had Marine ROTC at my high school,
right?
And we used to make fun of them. Out of baseball practice, they'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, United States Marine Corps, North High, Bakersfield. You're like, man, look at them jokers.
Yeah,
I ain't never gonna be like that. I wound up like that, but. Not as hardcore as a Marine,
right.
But so after recruiting, went back to a tank, and within a year found myself in Iraq again in 2003 at the initial phase of the invasion with Iraq. We were in Tikrit, which is Saddam's hometown.
Right.
We wound up we were attached to an infantry battalion. And they had a pretty amazing battalion commander who had a pretty good method of hunting down family members, which eventually led to the capture of Saddam. So I have a coin, it says Operation Red Dawn. That was the name of the operation.
Isn't there a movie after that?
No, yeah, there's a movie after that, but that's what they named the operation
right.
For the capture of Saddam. A couple years later, we were in Baghdad, and we were working out of the Green Zone, which is where all the government offices are, and the courthouse where they were trying Saddam. So I was present for the capture, and I was present when he was hung. Although I wasn't in the room when he was hung, we had to pull security sometimes outside the courthouse during the trial. But and then. My last trip to Iraq was when I was stationed in Hawaii. I was a first sergeant, and I took a striker cavalry troop over to Iraq, and we were up on the Iranian border. We had no casualties or anything like that, but the funniest thing is I had this young kid, real skinny black kid, and his dad was in the Army and spent the majority of his time in service over in Germany. So this kid had this thick German accent.
Right.
And his name was Bradley, his last name. And I just called him Firepower because, we do roll call, I get to his name and instead of going Bradley, I'd be like, Firepower. And he'd be like, yeah, for Sergeant. But we were coming back from this checkpoint one time and get popped by an ID, and Bradley's like, "For Sergeant, that did not sound like a blown tire." I was like, "No, it wasn't."
So he had a pretty
tire.
heavy accent.
Yeah. He was a good kid. He liked to work out. He's skinny but cut.
Right.
And then, before that, when I was assigned to headquarters Army Pacific, I got to go to Thailand and teach the Royal Thai Army on some of the stuff that we've seen in Iraq in 2003, because they were fighting, or still are, a Muslim insurgency on their southern border with Malaysia. And if you ever get an opportunity to go anywhere in the world, go to Thailand. The people are just amazingly friendly, and there's a lot of things, you know, that are American that are there.
Right.
7-Eleven, KFC, Burger King,
Right.
you know, whatever. Marlboro cigarettes, but yeah, they brew their own beer. So there's the Chiang Mai Brewery.
That's been a place I've always wanted to go, but I guess the whole, you know, you need to be vaccinated. I haven't been vaccinated. If you need to travel, but I mean, hopefully, right now they just lifted off the mask mandate. I think in New York and maybe other states that you know it was in effect, but. Maybe at some point you don't need a vaccine to travel because I don't think they're as effective as they're claimed to be, but
I think that stuff will change eventually. You know, just like the last century with the flu pandemic that they had at the beginning of the century. Right. You know, it's going to be the same thing. Right. They'll eventually get over it, or we'll all get that herd immunity or whatever. Right. But before we went to Iraq with the CAV troop, our CAV troop went to our whole squadron went to India as well, and so the Indian Army, you know, they used to be a British colony, so their officers speak the Queen's English, so they all have that kind of British accent, right? And their military tradition goes back thousands of years, but that was really an awesome experience as well. Even though they're equipped by the Russians, you know, they have the rights to build Russian tanks and infantry fighting vehicles and things like that they build in country, but they're Russian designed. Right. And we're actually allies with one of their enemies, which is Pakistan, that they still fight in Kashmir, but. I got to go to the Taj Mahal and stuff. Ate some spiced crickets, you know, stuff like that.
I'm assuming you've eaten some pretty interesting food.
Yeah, in Korea, you know, they like stuff that still squirms.
Did you go to North or South?
South Korea, yeah.
So which one's the
North Korea is the dictator, the communist country. So, you know, after World War II, just like Germany was split into 4 countries, the Korean Peninsula was split into 2. Right. So there was the South Korea portion was UN forces mentored, and the North Korean was Russian and Chinese mentored. And at first, the North Korea side was the more productive side, but then eventually, you know, South Korea turned into a mega economic, you know, with Samsung. They build ships, they make electronics, you know, all that kind of stuff. And so it's night and day between the
North and South,
the prosperity of the South and North.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of stories about how people try to go from North to South, or a bunch of stories about how people have to, I don't know what it's like, but they have to cross like this ice storm, or you know, if you even reach a certain point, you know, they have a whole army of people that'll gun you down on sight, and chances of you getting from point A to point B are 0 to none.
You know, back during the Cold War, there was UN forces on the border on the south side, and the Warsaw Pact countries on the north side, so Czechoslovakia, Poland, Russia, East Germany. And some of those soldiers would defect to the south. Right. They're at the checkpoint, and there'd actually be like firefights between the north and south while these Polish soldiers trying to escape, you know, to defect and whatnot. And then it's really interesting when you go up there and you see like all the Hollywood signs on the north side. Most of them are written in Hangul. But you have, in the army over there, you have what's called COATES, Korean augmentees to the United States Army. So they're ROK Army soldiers. ROK is Republic of Korea, but they're attached to your unit for the purpose of interpreting. Right. And so they'll tell you, you know, hey Lee, what's that one say? Oh, that says follow the rise of the Northern Star. Or that one says Yankee go home. Okay, I can get behind that one. You know? Stuff like that. You know?
That's cool, man.
Yep.
That's pretty interesting. I hear that once you get to the South, you're basically untouchable.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're wanting to defect, and you can make it,
right?
Then yeah, they'll.
And you're guaranteed citizenship at that point.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's pretty interesting. I heard a podcast about a woman. I forgot her name, but came out of there. Oh, actually went from north to south, and survived. And a lot of people don't, and I didn't know that until.
And they're all family. That
right.
whole peninsula, you know, there's families that have been separated for 60 years, 70 years now.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of wild things going on over there, and so how did you go from going? How many terms in the military did you do?
I did 24 years, 4 months, 24 years, 8 months, and 24 days. I think is what my DD 214 says.
Wow.
So it's over 24 years.
So basically, when you came and you were being a sales rep for us, you were retired. You just kind of bounced out of it. And,
well, I started off at the warehouse.
Right.
I mean, there's very few jobs here in this area.
Right. I mean, you kind of just.
So I figured, I got to do something. I got to get out of the house. My pension, my disability pays my bills.
Right.
But I got to do something.
I can imagine it'd be boring. You're stuck at home. I can't even be stuck at home right at this point.
Yeah, and this body, all this weight I put on right after the Army. I haven't gotten bigger, but I haven't gotten smaller.
I think you did show me a picture one time. You were looking like you owned a Bowflex, even though they didn't exist at the time. Like, who is this hunk? That ain't you.
I've always been a chunky butt in the military. I was within the height and weight standard, but sometimes I would push it. But
so you were a ladies' man.
But once I got out, I put on like 40 pounds because I wasn't working or nothing, and so that's what motivated me to go to work. And I figured, I'll take this position at the warehouse, and something will open up.
Well, it has its perks. It had a couple benefits.
Yeah. So when the sales position opened, they had no idea the training that I'd done that applied to civilian world.
Right.
And so, it was easy for them to put me in that position. And then I left that position just because I could,
Right.
I got tired of dealing with Slumberjay.
Right. I just always thought it was pretty impressive how you were always so calm and chill. We'd have some customers in Shanghai, and they'd be calling you constantly or emailing you, and then you come see us.
And trust me, it was frustrating. When somebody doesn't order rubber, or the guy in charge of the press line doesn't want to make the parts because they're just going to get disqualified anyways.
Right.
Like, dude, you don't have the option. You got to make the parts. We quoted it. We accepted the PO. Make the damn parts.
Yeah, right.
But I can't tell the customer, oh yeah, we don't want to make your parts because you're just going to reject them, or oh, we forgot to order rubber for it.
Right.
I can't tell them that. So that stuff.
Hopefully, no one from Slumberjay listens to this podcast.
Well,
but if so, I mean,
they don't know where we were working. But anyways, so but that calmness comes from the 24 years in the military.
Right.
And so for me, the military is not for everybody, but for most people, I would encourage them to go.
Right.
Because of the life experiences that you will have. It's the best education that money can't buy.
Right.
The travel, it'll open up your worldview to different things, and then when you're sitting in a desert for a year, looking at nothing, and have an occasional 10 minutes of excitement or something like that when something does pop off, I mean, it just really changes your demeanor,
changes your whole perspective on many things, maybe.
And so where it's not for everybody is for some people that'll traumatize them.
Right.
For other people, okay, roll up. But the one thing I like to share with young people is that life's like a roll of toilet paper. So check it out. When you first get that roll, it's about yay big, right?
Right.
And you think of each piece of toilet paper, each square, as a block of time. And the more time you use, well, what's happening? That roll's getting smaller. And as it gets smaller, each time you use a square, you're getting to that cardboard roll faster and faster. At first it's taken a while to get to that cardboard roll.
Agreed.
And remember when you were young, like in school, it seemed like school was going to last forever.
Oh, yeah.
And now you look back on it, it's like, man,
I got responsibilities.
And that stuff went by fast.
Agreed.
And so the more time you're using, the faster you're getting to that center roll. And that paper that's stuck to the roll at the end, that's worthless, man. You ain't going to do nothing with that.
Right.
So you got to cherish, each square.
Right. Got to make it count.
Yeah, you got to make it count. So do you, and all that stuff that people worry about, don't worry about it.
Yeah, sometimes I catch
it'll
myself.
handle itself.
I'll catch myself worrying about things that I guess that would be insignificant if I compare them to family or a loss of a loved one, something like that.
Yeah.
But I always thought it was impressive how calm you were when you come down and walk the floor. You come see us and say, "Hey, I need this, I need that." And I would do this on purpose just to get a reaction out of you. I would be like, they're all trash.
Right?
I'd tell you something like that. And, I'm over here ready for you to flip out. And then you would just say, okay. And then you'd leave. I'm like, what? Okay, the parts are good. I just, I wanted to get a reaction out of you. And, based off everything you've told me and, at work or outside of work, I feel like, you keep your composure very well. Yeah. Is that something that you developed in the military, or is it, have you always been a calm guy?
I think due to my life experiences, both in the military and before the military, I'm able to handle, the difficulties.
So you've seen like a lot of dead bodies. You walk through the valley of the shadow of.
So yeah, Desert Storm. Our final position was at what they called the Highway of Death.
There you go.
So
that's what I was thinking.
If anybody looks that up on the internet, the Highway of Death, it was Highway 8 that led out of Kuwait City, and as the American forces approached, all the Iraqi soldiers that were there
ambushed,
tried to loot everything they could from Kuwait City, because the Kuwaitis were very wealthy. So yeah, they're trying to steal everything that they got, man. And so they got all their military equipment loaded up, and they're hauling butt, and they wound up getting strafed by a couple A-10 Thunderbolts, which are tank killers. And so there was equipment and bodies strewn for miles on this highway. And
how long does this highway stretch?
Well, the highway goes all the way into Iraq,
right?
But we're talking about a stretch of about 5 miles. And so as the vehicles piled up on the highway, then they're trying to get away on the side of the highway in the desert. And yeah, so it's wide, it's long, and somebody had to clean that stuff up.
Wow!
And guess who had to clean that stuff up?
You.
Yeah, the privates and young sergeants that were there.
That sucks. So you've seen a lot. That's crazy, man.
Yeah, seen what no human should really ever have to see. Because we're not talking just dead people. We're talking mutilated dead people.
Right.
The weapons that we make today are nasty, man. And they do nasty things to the human body, regardless of whether they're in armored vehicles or what.
Right.
So yeah.
That's crazy, man. Well, I thank you for your service. You know, you obviously. I think I like to. I appreciate what people do for their country and stuff like that, but. Nowadays, you find a lot of people who don't want to fight for their country because they feel like this country, I guess, doesn't stand for the freedoms. And I know it's kind of, my belief is that it's kind of selfish for people to think about that. I think people should think about, the primary reasons this country was founded on. I think that's what, when you join the military, you set yourself up for something like that. You're not thinking about other people's actions. You're not thinking about other people's decisions. You're thinking about what you want to do for your your people, your country.
Yeah, there's a big shift that happened after Vietnam once they got rid of the draft.
Right.
So, if you don't have to do something, then why do it?
Right.
If you don't have to. But, prior to that, it was, you didn't want to be the guy at home. I don't know if you ever seen, what was that movie, about the kid that was a conscientious objector that went to Japan. It was a medic, something Ridge. Heartbreak Ridge, I think.
The guy who didn't want to hold a gun.
Yeah.
Jacksaw Ridge.
Hacksaw Ridge.
Hacksaw Ridge,
yeah,
something
Hacksaw
like that.
Ridge. But he didn't want to hold a gun because of an experience that he had as a child. But he knew he had to serve because everybody in the community was serving.
Agreed,
and you didn't want to be
the guy hiding behind.
Yeah, it was a challenge to your manhood. That if you didn't go. And that was kind of the way things were back then. It was a challenge to your manhood if you didn't go. You had guys like Audie Murphy that, he's 16 and he's going to every branch of service, and they're like, "No, dude, you're too young." And then finally the Army's like, "What?
We don't care at this point.
It looks like you're 18, yeah.
You got a beard.
Hook him up." And then he wound up doing some heroic things, and the legend of Audie Murphy. But but Vietnam was something that so many people were opposed to that they eventually got rid of the draft, and so now you got a choice.
Right.
For me, I was kind of searching for something to do because I wanted an adult. I didn't want to live at my parents' or my friend's parents' house.
Agreed.
But there's guys like Pat Tillman, the football player. It's unfortunate the way that things happened for him in the service, but he had a sense of duty that he wanted to go meet the call, and a lot of the folks after 9/11, had that sense of duty that once existed back in World War II and whatnot.
Right.
Or World War One.
Yeah, agreed. I agree with you there. If you feel like you could break down maybe one or two really important lessons that you learned in your time serving, what do you think they would be? If you could tell the listeners now. So
the toilet paper story. I mean, analogy.
That is one. We'll take that analogy.
But this one's real important. It's embracing the suck. Embrace the suck. When life sucks, embrace it.
Right.
Because that's a good thing.
Right.
When you're down at the bottom, all you have to go is up.
Right.
So, and it makes you appreciate that upward movement.
Right.
So embrace, man. I got to do something. And it forces you to change and make a positive movement upward. It's either that or stay at the bottom and continue to suck.
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying that enjoy the suck so much that you stay there.
Right.
I'm just saying,
Enjoy it because it's going to be over in no time.
Yeah, and be thankful that you went through it, because those things are what build character.
That's it. Yeah, agreed.
And make you the type of person that other people admire when you go through those kind of things.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Actually, when I, I mean, this doesn't apply, I'm not in the military like that, but I do often say, in times of, maybe people like me don't like the summer.
Yeah.
There's people that don't like the cold. There's people that don't like to do a certain part of their job because it sucks.
Yeah.
But my way of thinking is embrace it, because in my head, I know it's over. And as a matter of fact, I embrace it because I feel like it slows down time. And when it slows down time, that's good, because it almost feels like you live longer, although you don't. Yeah. But you can at least feel like you're stretching your life more than what what it really is being stretched out as.
Yeah, I like to. I often think of what heaven's like, because you think, when you hear about heaven, it's this glorious place, and there's no pain, and there's no sorrow, and there's no this, and there's no that, and then I'm like, man, that doesn't sound like a place I want to go, because there's no lows to make the highs good, know. But I mean, I know I can't fathom what heaven's like, and I'm not trying to make this into like anything religious, I'm sure it's not, all the rosy stuff that I'm thinking, I'm sure that's the place you want to be. Right. It's better than the alternative.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that's just our human way of thinking. We think we're so limited.
But here in life, if you imagine going through life where everything, you think about the billionaires or the people that have all this success and they're not happy.
Right.
Because they're here and they got the only way to go is down, and I don't know. I would rather be on the upward trajectory than on a downward trajectory.
Right. Agreed 100%. I feel like I've been happy. I don't know. I feel like sometimes I can't even contain it. I don't even know why sometimes. I'll wake up and I'm just ready to go, and I just feel so dang excited, and I can't even pinpoint why. And a lot of times I'll credit God for it, because a lot of times I pray for that. I pray, I want to have joy at all times. I want to be able to enjoy a cup of coffee, or the simplest things. I feel like the fact that I can run.
And who do you want to be around? You want to be around people that are, oh man, my knees hurt. Work sucks.
No, yeah, that kind of toxic behavior will drag you down.
Or do you want to be around people that are, laid back, having fun, down for anything, whatever. Right. I choose the happy person over the life sucks.
I have a friend. His name is Josue Garcia. This dude, he's in the Air Force right now. He's in Hungary? Is that how you say it? Hungary? Yeah. Okay, he's there right now, and this dude, every time he comes down, he makes everything sound kind of like you in a way. He's kind of like I guess people
embellishes a little bit.
Well, I guess that when people say I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, they make it sound like it's a big deal, because it kind of is for them.
Yeah.
But for him, going here, going there, circling the world, 10 times, it almost sounds like I'm going to do it. And he sounds so, I guess, calm about it, or almost like it's not impossible. It's really simple to do it. You just don't, you don't see things the way he sees them. But to him, everything seems simple. And when I'm around that dude, it's just like, he makes you feel like you can do anything.
Yeah.
And I admire that kid a lot, and definitely the kind of people you want to have in your life. And I have many friends like that. They'll make you feel inspired.
Yeah.
Do you have any friends that served time with you around here, or?
So every third June of the year, the third weekend of June, I do a reunion for all the guys, because we were all in the same unit for Iraq in 03, 04, and when we went back in 2006.
Right.
So, that's a long time to be together, and then you form bonds through shared hardship.
Right.
And yeah, so when you're out there sucking ass because you're either bored out of your mind doing something mind numbing, or you go through something very intense that's life threatening and whatnot, and you come through it. I mean, you're ride or die forever after that.
Right.
And so we get about 40 dudes that come out, and we all enjoy the pool. We watch slideshows. We just talk, drink, have a good time. And this will be our 6th year. So hopefully we can continue going. And it's also an opportunity to remind some guys that, that are struggling, that they once were a badass.
Right.
And because they once were, they still are.
Right.
There was one young man that was doing 2 jobs, working at Walmart and Burger King, just to feed his family. It's like, come on, man, we gave you some skills, So one of the guys took him to the Waco VA and got him a resume built and interview classes and stuff, and so now he's working a one job 8 hours a day instead of
2 jobs and barely getting by.
And they have a new the family was able to move into a new trailer home, one of those fabricated homes.
Right.
But it's his,
He's probably renting before or something.
Yeah, he was renting before, and so they're doing a lot better and whatnot, and that was because we had people that they're able to get together and communicate and see a need and know how to take care of that need.
Right. So what you were saying earlier about hard times and how hard times kind of people felt the calling to join the military because of 9/11, and it reminded me of a quote that Joe Rogan always says. I don't know if you agree with it or not, or if you've heard it. It says, "Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times." Would you agree with that?
Yeah. It's kind of like something out of Proverbs.
Yeah, it only sounds like a Bible verse.
Yeah.
I've always thought that was a fascinating quote, and I couldn't agree more with that. By Michael Hoff, I think it's how you pronounce his name, which is an author.
Okay.
But yeah, that's pretty interesting. You've lived a pretty interesting life.
I have.
But right now, what are you up to now? What are you up to these days?
So nowadays I work for a company that where I manage tablets, like they're kind of like iPads for inmates. And people would be like, why the hell are we going to give iPads to inmates?
Right.
So on these tablets, they have access to a library, like over 500,000 books, as well as a law library, which they're required by law to have access to. But now it's all in a tablet.
Right.
They have access to different religious, regardless of what their religion is. It could be Islam, Baha'i, Zoroastrianism. They have access to those types of materials and podcasts. They also have access to movies. They'll eventually have access to a music streaming app. And the big thing is they can make phone calls on these tablets.
Wow. For a limited time, I would say, right?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what the restrictions are at the unit or whatever. And they got to pay for the phone calls.
Oh, okay.
They got to pay for the movies. They got to pay for game subscriptions. The library's free. They can take college classes that if they're available at that unit or whatever. They get a little keyboard that they can hook up to that and whatnot. But the big thing, is the phone calls, because it allows them to maintain contact with friends and family,
right?
And not have to worry about some bully that's guarding the phone that makes them do things to be able to use the phone. That bully is taken out of the picture. They're able to maintain contact, and so it helps with recidivism. So that they get out, they have a support network, and hopefully they don't come back, kind of thing.
Right.
There's mixed views. There's some people that think that it's taking advantage of inmates by them spending money on, or us profiting off of movies and game subscriptions and things like that. There's other people that are extremely thankful, and I'll tell you, the inmates are extremely thankful to have these things.
Oh yeah.
Because it gives them something to do instead of just working out or watching whatever's on the TV.
Right. Now, I guess also helps them catch up on technology and how to apply it.
Yeah.
Because you imagine someone being locked up for 25, 30 years. I've only been alive 29, but technology really took off. I don't know, somewhere in 2005, somewhere between 2005 and 10, and that's it's not that many years, but if you're locked up for 25, 30 years, you come out and, you see a freaking tablet, you're probably going to freak out and commit a crime to go back to prison.
Imagine if you were in prison for 30 years. Yeah. I mean, you'll see it on TV stuff, but as far as putting your hands on an iPad,
right.
iPads didn't exist. Cell phones didn't exist before, those dudes went into prison. But
a camera, they probably don't even know what they look like. You imagine holding a camera and taking a selfie and they freak out.
Yeah. Most correction officers and whatnot aren't allowed to have a cell phone, but I'm allowed to have a cell phone when I go to the different pods, because that's how I communicate with the headquarters if there's an issue with the tablet. So when they see my cell phone, they're just like, "Whoa, wow!" They're really amazed by.
Like, how do you know what to do with it? Whoa! I remember my first time seeing a touchscreen, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And this is probably like my senior year in high school, and I never owned a phone. Pretty much all high school, every one of my friends, they had a phone, and I felt like we were kind of like that poor family. We couldn't afford a phone, and I mean, most people had a flip phone, one-way camera. And then someone showed up and they had this HTC touchscreen, and I was like, oh my God, what is that thing? Is that alien? And it was just crazy. So, at that point, and I've seen some things. I've seen an iPod, I've seen things like that. But someone that comes out and hasn't seen anything probably doesn't even know what a flat screen TV is. I don't even know what TVs look like back then, but I could only imagine they're like super-sized, Texas-sized items,
Yeah. It was really cool as I'm getting into this company. The state of Texas is just fielding them.
Right.
So I'm getting in at the right at the right time to where eventually they'll need an area supervisor, they'll need district supervisors, all that. So there's unlimited potential to progress in the company.
Well, that's cool. That's very neat.
Yeah.
I'm happy for you. I know that you get to travel a lot. I know you like to drive. You like to roll the windows down, maybe everything except putting those miles on your car. Luckily, you have a rental car.
Yeah, they do a rental.
And now you ain't got to.
I'm on the clock while I'm driving, so and they don't want me to do overtime. So it's 2 hours on the road down there, 4 hours on site, 2 hours on the way back.
Right. But then again, I don't see you as much, but I'm not worried because I know where you live. So, maybe stop by, jump in the pool, jump out.
Yeah.
Leave you a little surprise in the pool. And then I know you got to clean it because you don't have a water system.
It's a baby room.
But, man, I really appreciate having you here. We're about to hit that 45-minute mark.
Right on.
Maybe at some point have you back in. Give us some more intel. I know you have a lot of intel.
Just tell Army stories.
Right now, what I'm gonna do is that we get to a certain point, and then at this point, I cut off the camera. So when I cut off the camera, it's almost like these. I forget what they're. Yeah, I'll do like a deleted scene type deal. So right now, the screen will be black.
Okay.
So this is a time. You want to say something to the fans, to your people, to my people. Now is the time. That maybe there's something you left unsaid.
Yeah, just enjoy life. Let your worries go. I'm really into this band called Mastodon right now.
Mastodon.
And what's really cool about Mastodon is they made a concept album after Moby Dick.
Okay.
The
fish.
Like, yeah. The whale.
Okay, the whale. We'll call it that.
So the title song is Blood and Thunder. That's the name of the album.
Okay.
And Blood and Thunder is like white whale, holy grail, and it's all about the agony that Captain Ahab suffered pursuing this whale. But anyways, they're a fantasy band,
okay,
but they're metal, and I'm really into this song called "Show Yourself." It's just about letting your worries go, and because you're gonna die eventually.
Yeah, I feel like if anyone can say that, it's you because, the things that I know personally you've been through, which I won't bring up in this podcast, but, you're still living a really good life. You're happy, you're joyous, you're always positive, and it's just unreal. I'm like, who is this guy? He's not even human. Does he have a heart? And, I'll bring up one of those little doctor deals to try to see if I can feel a pulse sometimes while you're sleeping. Yeah. And by the way, Holly has this collection of pictures with you sleeping, and I might have a couple pictures myself of you sleeping at work. I'm like, this guy, he's just sleeping it up, living a good dream right now or something.
Sometimes that's a way to escape, escape to your dreams,
right?
Right, and live out that fantasy or whatever. But just enjoy every minute that you have. Because life is short and you never know, tomorrow's not promised.
Agreed. 100%.
And eventually 100. Eventually you'll experience the fact that tomorrow's not promised. And when you do, hopefully you're prepared.
Right.
And you come to that realization that, I need to live life to the fullest. So that, because you're only here for a short amount of time, and the older you get, the more you realize how short it is.
Oh yeah, I couldn't agree more.
It's that getting to that cardboard roll,
that analogy.
Yeah, and when I get to that paper that's stuck, just kill me, man. Just I'm done then. Put me on hospice and give me some drugs. You got to be ready
with the Lord. You know what I
Right.
mean? What I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna leave. Maybe you got a Facebook, maybe you got something, someone wants to follow you, they can. I'm going to take that information. All I have is Instagram, but I'll take that information from you. I'm going to add it to the video, and the people who see this and, want to give you a like, want to give you a follow, they'll feel free to do so. Yeah. And I appreciate your time, appreciate what you've done for your country, appreciate you as a friend.
Yes,
and I just want to tell you to keep doing what you do. And also, if I could borrow your car. All right, man. We out of here, gang. Y'all stay cool, fam. Hopefully, y'all enjoyed this podcast. Anthony Coates is the name. And if he were to own a store, it would probably be a store that had some nice furry.
It'd be like this one that I seen in Austin. 1 in a million.
There you Juan. Is that what you think? Yeah. That's a Mexican dude, by the way.
That's awesome.
All right. You guys stay safe. Y'all have a good weekend. It's Super Bowl weekend. We're going to tune into that. I think I'm going to jump into Hector and check out the Super Bowl. I'm going for the Rams, but really Who cares? Oh, okay, don't give me that look. Who cares who wins?
It matters.
You know, right now all the Cowboys fans, they're pretty pissed off right now. They're like, this ain't our year, but next year's our year, and then 100 years are gonna go by. No disrespect, because it's a Texas team, and I'm not gonna hold any disrespect, but hopefully, I would have liked to see Tom Brady back. Getting another, what would it be? Sixth ring, seventh ring,
eighth ring.
Oh man, this guy, he's gonna need another hand if he keeps going. If he wins another super. But you guys take care. Appreciate y'all listening, and tune in for episode 8 coming out sometime next week as well. We out of here, gang. Peace.
Peace.